job as a Board of Education is to govern and to have this 30,000 view perspective of our district and of the programs, and that we continue to ask questions and reevaluate and reconsider even programs that are well-intentioned, that are functioning well, that we continue to have a big picture perspective and that we don't take our hands off the wheel on these. That's what I took away from this, is that Promise, as it was originally designed, started with a really good idea. The way that it was implemented in this specific situation clearly had some major flaws that were enabled to exacerbate, given, I think, this blinding advocacy of the program. And so it's our job to be strong critiques of any program within the district.
Thank you. Other comments? All right, so for the next meeting, we will read chapters 13 and 14. Next up on the agenda is a teacher appointment in the area of personnel and leadership. I need a motion to appoint the following person to the teaching position listed and base salary listed effective June 12, 2023. Marissa Hoffman as a Milan High School counselor.
Moved by Rosenleacher.
Support by Farrow.
It's been moved and supported to appoint the following person to the teaching position listed and base salary listed effective June 12, 2023. Marissa Hoffman for a Milan High School counselor. Mr. Gearbaugh.
You may realize that we hired and approved a high school counselor a couple of weeks ago. That person was moving in from out of state, came in, and as I'll be announcing tonight, we do have a social worker at the high school retiring, a counselor at the high school retiring, and another counselor that will be on maternity leave. And that counselor with only a couple of years experience felt that was more than they wanted to tackle in their first year working with a newer team. And so that person decided to withdraw their employment with Milan area schools. So this is not an additional position. This is filling a position that was originally filled and then vacated very quickly due to circumstances. This counselor is well aware of this candidate is well aware of all of those situations. She's been a counselor for over 11 years and feels very solid in her abilities. And feels that she can step in and actually be part of a new team that might have some new insight and new ideas to implement at the high school. And so we are excited to welcome her aboard with your approval.
And this is, obviously, you said it's a replacement, so I mean, this is in the budget this year. And
yes, this is in the budget.
Yep. Any other questions or concerns regarding this? All right, it's been moved and supported to appoint the following person to the teaching position listed and base salary listed effective June 12, 2023. Marissa Hoffman is a Milan High School counselor. Ms. Heike.
Heike, yes. Murray?
Yes.
Rosenleacher?
Yes.
Sislo?
Yes.
Farrow?
Yes.
Freight?
Yes?
Gutierrez?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
All right, next up on the agenda is in the areas of communications and community engagement. It brings us back to public comments. Reminder, this meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business. It's not to be considered a public meeting. There are 2 times for board participation during the meeting as indicated in the agenda. When addressing the board, you will be asked to state your name. The board determines the amount of time granted to individuals or groups to speak. Each person shall be allowed to speak for up to 3 minutes. Board members may question speakers but are not obligated to answer questions or make statements or commitments in response to issues raised by the public. In general, such items will be referred to the superintendent for advisement, investigation, study, and/or recommendation or designated as future agenda items for board consideration. Are there any students who'd like to address the board? Are there any public members who would like to address the board?
Hello, Shannon Darwayne. A City of Milan resident, mother of 3 in the district. First, as we end the school year, just wanted to thank all of you for your very hard work this year. I know it takes a lot, there are a lot of decisions to be made, and thank you for always approaching everything very thoughtfully. Second, it was a very nice presentation by Coach Hoskins and his team. I happen to also chair the Beautification Commission for the city, and just wanted to add that there are actually, we recently planted 3 crooked trees around town. One is at 8 in Milan, he was right about that, but also 2 others. One over at Hack House, and then the third is in front of the blue house in the city lot adjacent to City Hall. So take a look at those, and great job. Thank you.
Thank you for the comment. Are there others? All right, thank you for that comment this evening. Next up on the agenda is our student board representative comments.
We would like to give a congratulations to Malia Warman on being girls high jump regional champion, the boys track and field team for sending 7 boys to the state finals, the Milan girls tennis team for placing 5th in the regional tournament, and the Milan girls varsity soccer team for winning the Huron League championship. And upcoming events include a boys varsity baseball game at Plymouth Christian Academy at 4:30 p.m. on the 25th, and a girls varsity softball game at home at 4:30 p.m. on the 25th. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Farrow.
I just wanted to start off by saying congratulations to all of the athletes within the high school and all of just all the sports in general for all that they have accomplished within the last 3 weeks. Also, congratulations to Riley Mitchell for signing with Washington and Jefferson College for water polo. On May 24th, Wednesday, May 24th, there is a wrestling meeting right after school for the upcoming winter season at, I think it's at 2:30, 2:15, 2:30, something around that time in the cafeteria. Today, track hosted the Huron League track meet. I'm waiting to hear how that went. And then the team goes to the MHSAA state finals on Saturday, June 3rd at an unknown location at 9 a.m. Baseball went against Airport High School last night, ending in a loss of 7-4, which I attended that game, and I thought both teams played extremely well. Both fought very, very hard, and it was just a very eventful game to watch. The boys played Huron High School today, taking the win of 3-2, which means that they are going to continue going on to districts and regionals and all of that. Tuesday, May 30th, they verse Annapolis High School at home at 4 p.m. and at 6 p.m. Saturday, June 3rd, they play Tecumseh High School for the MHSAA district semifinals at Adrian at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. And at 2 p.m., that is the district championship. So it is undecided who they go against. And Saturday, June 10th, is the MHSA regional semifinals and championship, and there has been no information given about that. For the boys golf, they had a Huron League meet today, awaiting results. Wednesday, May 23rd, versus Summerfield High School at home, which is the Pineview Golf Course at 3 p.m. Friday, May 26th, versus Airport High School at Sandy Creek Golf Course at 3 p.m. And Tuesday, May 30th, versus the MHSAA regional meet at Lakes of Taylor Golf Course at 8:30 a.m. Girls softball won against Carleton Airport last night, 7-6. And like Maya said, they have a varsity softball game coming up. Thursday, the 25th, versus Chelsea High School at home at 4:30. Wednesday, May 31st, versus Tecumseh High School at 4 p.m. and 5:30 p.m. And Thursday, June 1st, versus Ida High School at home at 4:30 and 5:30. Saturday, June 3rd, versus Dundee Community High School for the MHSAA District Tournament at Airport High School at 12 p.m. and 2 p.m. Saturday, June 10th, is the MHSAA Regional Semifinals and Championship at an unknown location and time. Girls soccer, again, congratulations for winning the Huron League Championship for the second year in a row. no, I'm sorry, I can't speak today. For the first time in a while, girls soccer, they play Blissfield, or either Blissfield or Ida. It is still being determined which school they go against, for the MHSAA district finals at home at 4:30 on Tuesday, May 30th. Friday, June 2nd for the MHSAA district championship at home at 6 p.m. And if they continue with their outstanding season, they will, on Tuesday, June 6th, play for the MHSAA regional semifinals at Lansing Catholic High School at 7 p.m. And water polo has an upcoming event of Friday, June 2nd for the state tournament at an unknown location and time. And that is it.
Thank you, Ms. Powell. And thank you, Ms. Farrell. Appreciate that. Lots of great things. Next up is superintendent comments. Mr. Gearbaugh.
Several things to share this evening, as it's been a little while since we had a board meeting. On Wednesday, May 3rd, at State Festival, the Milan High School Chamber Choir earned an excellent rating. Excellent is the top rating possible at Festival, and we want to congratulate our talented singers and our choir director, Mrs. Shayla Powell. The Simons PTO Flapjacks with Families on Tuesday, May 3rd was wonderful. Students and parents alike enjoyed the pancakes and sausage breakfast. We want to thank our Simons PTO and the Milan Rotary Club for helping host the event. The Big Red Girls soccer team did finish the Huron League season with a 7-0 record, compiling 21 points. That made them the first seed in the Huron League round robin tournament. They tied New Boston Huron 1-1 in the round robin. They tied Riverview 0-0 to clinch the Huron League championship, and that is their first championship since 2012. Milan did earn a bye in the MHSAA district competition for winning the league, and will play in the district semifinals on May 30th. And as stated, they will play either Blissfield or Ida. Milan High School held their prom on Saturday, May 6th. The event was a huge success. We want to thank Brad Baden, the junior class advisor, and all of the other staff and parents that chaperoned, help decorate and do everything else that helps provide a wonderful experience for our juniors and seniors. On Tuesday, May 9th, 2 of our Milan area school students were recognized by the South and West Washtenaw Consortium for their outstanding performance in their respective career and technical education programs. Savannah Kisselberg was recognized in the cosmetology program, and Josh Steuben was recognized in the welding program. Congratulations to both of those students for doing outstanding things in their respective programs. On Tuesday, May 16th, the 6th through 12th grade bands performed their concert. The music truly was fabulous. The student musicians have made huge strides this year, and it was evident that a lot of the loss created by the pandemic has now been recovered. It was also nice to see our theater full with family and friends. The Milan High School Big Reds girls tennis team finished 5th at the MHSAA regional finals. The team is competing this evening in the Huron League meet. I'm not exactly sure what the outcome is of that yet. And again, just a big shout out to our baseball, softball, track, boys golf, girls water polo teams for all of their competition, hard work, and efforts in the spring season. Some staff updates. We received quite a bit of sad news in the last couple of weeks. And the district office administrative assistant lost her mother. Wendy Unger, our elementary art teacher, lost her sister. And Debbie Hassler, our cafeteria and transportation employee, lost her father. Some announcements. Kim Goffey, our high school counselor, is retiring at the end of the school year. Kelly Smith, a paddock teacher, is retiring at the end of the school year. And Holly Fiedler, the middle school social worker, is retiring at the end of the school year. Catalina Salas, the high school social worker, is resigning as she is following her husband, who is retiring, to a new hometown. So congratulations to all of those folks in moving into the next stage of their life. The District Communications Committee met on Monday, May 22nd to review the applications for the open seats on the committee. We want to thank all 16 people who completed the interest survey. Final decisions regarding the addition of committee members will be made in early June. The committee will then reach out to all of the respondents, letting them know if they are on the committee or if they are on a wait list. The committee will meet one more time before summer to discuss the committee's goals for the 23-24 school year. On Tuesday, May 9th, I attended the DEI team's final meeting. Mrs. Rosenleacher was also able to attend that meeting. The team has developed a plan for next year that will center around celebrations and recognitions of our diverse student population. I will be working with the team on promoting specific recognition months with the staff and the community. In response to a couple of comments made this evening, we do at the high school purchase a piece of software that does work to detect plagiarism in student papers. That software is at this time, as are all of those softwares, being updated to deal with AI and ChatGPT. Actually, it is, in my understanding, it is pretty easy to detect when those have been used. And so there are some algorithms that will be added to some of those softwares to help that happen. The second response is one of our public members made a comment about a tax increase. I just want to be very clear, Milan Area Schools has no intent of increasing the mill rate in any way, shape, or form on any of our community members, so I'm not sure where that tax increase information came from. At this time, there will be no tax increase requested or implemented by Milan Area Schools. On Monday, May 1st, I and 5 other Washtenaw County superintendents met with our area legislators. We were able to talk about the state aid budget and several other pieces of educational legislation being discussed. I truly appreciate the fact that our legislators were willing to meet with us in a small group setting and hear our concerns and our desires. I do know that on Monday of this week, there was also a legislative meeting. I was not able to attend that as I was serving on jury duty in Monroe County. But I did reach out to a couple of the other superintendents, and they filled me in on some of the occurrences at that meeting. And again, it sounds like our legislators are willing to meet with us. They have shared their cell phone numbers with all of the superintendents in the county. They know that they can reach out to us if there's an educational decision being made on either floor, and that they can seek our guidance and at least get our information. That doesn't always mean that they're going to vote the way that we want them to vote, but the fact that they will listen and contact us and hear us is greatly appreciated. That's all I have this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Gearbaugh. Assistant Superintendent comments, Mr. McMahon.
I do have a few comments tonight, and none of them are about grants. I want to just provide a recap of the PD day we had on May 5th. We had all the staff here at the high school. We separated them by elementary and secondary for the first half of the day, and they focused on some trauma-informed schools, professional development, specifically around the Classroom 180 book that we've been using for a while. So it consists of some review and then finishing the training, sharing of information in there. And then they went off to their own buildings for the second half of the day. Paddock did a really great job focusing on some instructional practices and foundations by watching each other. They videotaped some lessons around foundations, and it was really powerful. They did a nice job there. Simons was focused on building skills with instructional technology, and they did a session on student-led conferences for parent-teacher conferences, which is a thing that's taking root there. It was kind of cool. 3 teachers in 4th grade sampled it this year, and they shared out their experiences, and it's something that's kind of a neat approach that they're looking at expanding a bit. The middle school spent some time wrapping up their focus on making thinking visible strategies this year. It's instructional strategies that they're trying to implement. It's really powerful stuff, and they've done a great job with that. Kim has done a nice job of keeping that in the focus all year. And the high school spent their second half of the day focusing on curriculum and instructional alignment within their departments. A quick update on the state summative testing. It's a little more official than the last time we met. The standard tests are now all done. NWEA is wrapping up this week at Paddock, but the 3 through 8 and the high school state assessments are completed. We do officially have 8 third graders who fell below the 1252 mark that would be recommended for retention. We have also received and approved all 8 of their good cause exemptions, so they will be promoted to 4th grade. I want to update you on a couple district level committees that have started work that I'm involved in. One is the Educational Development Plan, or EDP committee, and we are expanding now, and this is part of our strategic plan that we approved a few years back, but we are now moving to expand to offer EDPs for all students, K-12. We're working with a company called Zello. We've signed the contract. I'm meeting with some of the principals at this point. We're going to expand that into teachers about how to implement that. But we're excited to kind of get that moving forward. The focus is not necessarily like picking a career path path, but it's interest areas and trying to drive some individualization in the instructional path K-12. We also have a committee called the Curriculum Alignment Committee, and what we're really trying to do with that is create a little bit more alignment, K-12, across our areas. The committee has met once so far. We decided that we're going to focus on science and social studies as a first-year go-around. We're going to spend this summer kind of planning our work for next year. It's going to involve the departments because we need the teachers to be involved in that. But you may have seen our curriculum progression documents on the website. Part of the work is to update that. Like, what's our plan? What are kind of our power standards? Do we want to enhance that a little bit? Maybe modernize it with some links to the curriculum resources we use. So that's some exciting work that's happening. It's going to expand beyond just science and social studies, but that's where we are. We just made 2 recent purchases in those areas, so it makes sense to kind of work within that realm. And finally, I want to share with you that tomorrow, in fact, Brian and I and the principals are going to a summit hosted by the Future of Learning Council, the FLC. The FLC is a small group in the state. It's relatively young. It was started by a group of progressive superintendents and a few other educational leaders. There's like 40 members, including districts and some ISDs. They focus on the future of learning. This is like big progressive ideas. It's a really, really strong, powerful group that we are excited to be a part of. Not necessarily at the ground level of this, because there's 40, but that's certainly still small in the state. One topic that the FLC is highlighting in a number of events they're doing is the rapidly evolving area of artificial intelligence. They were a part of a conference was in San Diego, actually. It was called the ASU/GSV Summit, and there was a lot of attention on artificial intelligence there. So we're going to have some conversations tomorrow in that area. It's our first meeting as a whole district going to this committee. I also have joined an AI subcommittee from the FLC. Our first meeting is going to be June 8th. And the purpose of that work is because other superintendents are excited to create some policy and some practices around this. And it's not only to just combat cheating. I know that's a concern, that's what everybody's looking for, but it's also, how can we use this as a tool? This is something that is changing so rapidly, and schools are notoriously slow at responding to anything that changes. When we implement new standards, it takes 3 years to do that. And this work is changing so fast that when you give an example, when I see an example, 6 weeks later, the example has changed. It's just that quick. So it's a group, I don't know how many at this point. I think there's like 8 signed up. I think it'll grow to get our minds around how can we work within this realm and make it a tool, a powerful tool that teachers and students can use. And in fact, I advocate for student voice. I'm looking forward to developing ways to get students involved in how we respond to using artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, and a number of the other tools. Every time you go in there, there's 5 more. It's like they're just growing so fast. It's really cool stuff. It's scary, intimidating, but we can use it as a powerful tool. So that's where our work is going to be focusing a little bit in that realm. And I thought I just mentioned that today from some comments. That's it for me. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. McMahon. Next up is board member comments.
Mr. Sislo?
Yes, Ms. Rosenleischer.
I just want to mention with the AI and the ChatGPT, that ChatGPT, never get that out right, actually only came to fruition at Thanksgiving. That's how quickly that technology is evolving.
Wow.
So I participated in this Thoughtful Leaders Around Education conference annually, and one of the people who also participates, he's very much, as a technology person, following this. Literally Thanksgiving time is when this came out and started to grow, and we're already on, evolution 4 since then. So I thank you for looking at that as a district and how we can utilize it as a tool versus just making sure that, because it's not going away.
Thank you, Ms. Rosenleischer. Others?
Mr. Sislo?
Yes, Ms. Murray.
Since you brought it up, I'll just add on that I too want to express my excitement and support for members of our district being on the front lines of those discussions around ethical use of AI. As part of my day job, I am a member of the REMC Instructional Technology Specialist Group, which is a subset of the REMC Michigan. Anyway, that conversation is feverish right now. And I've talked to instructional tech people from districts all over the state of Michigan, and you get just such a wide variety of district responses to AI, ranging from total shutdown, blacklisting on their network where they don't allow anything ever at all, to, you know, kind of the middle ground, and then to districts who are just leaning in full force and figuring it out as they go along. So, you know, I don't claim to know what the right answer for Milan area schools is. However, just from a personal standpoint and an instructional standpoint, I think that we might run the risk of disadvantaging our students and holding our district back a little if we don't at least participate in the conversation, get knowledgeable, be in on the ground level, because as Ms. Reginald Leacher stated, this is only a few months old and it is evolving at a viral pace. It's pretty astounding. And I think the potential too in the realm of assistive technology and how AI can be used to support our students with exceptionalities, that's a whole subset of this discussion that I think we really need to pay attention to and leverage as best we can as a district. So I look forward to hearing more about how that continues for Milan. And then I'll just close by saying thank you to all of our teachers and staff at every level in every building for, you know, all of the successes and all of the hard work this year. And it just, hearing the presentation from Mr. Hoskins tonight and seeing the Code Red and the, you know, the multi-level robotics teams that we have at our district, thinking about our DEI efforts that our teacher and staff led, I just so appreciate the lead from within and lead at all levels that this district excels at. And so I just want to thank all of the teachers for moving our district forward in all of the ways that you do. And so with that, at best, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Murray.
Mr. Sislo.
Yes, Ms. Frey.
Thank you. I'll piggyback onto that and just say that May is an incredibly busy month for all of us, all around, from administration down to our families, and it's incredibly, an incredible amount of proud to just be part of our community as far as our Big Reds and everything that we're doing. I'd like to piggyback on Mrs. Murray, thanking you for everyone, and I especially want to thank our administrators and the folks that allow us to host different events, because it's incredible to be here and be able to watch and do things and represent and see everyone that comes and is able to enjoy things. I have been able to participate in a couple of different things. I just want to talk about the robotics event of our younger robot teams that we honor tonight. We're over at a competition. I was able to be there and watch them, and my children participated in the highest level, I guess, high school level, and that's a phenomenal thing. But to see the younger kids in both of our teams come and participate was really neat to watch them interact and just see how that builds up and progresses. And it is incredibly expensive and time consuming, so it's very invigorating to see that our robotics program continues to build and represent and qualify for all the events that they do. So it was very heartfelt to be able to recognize them tonight, as well as our theater club and our athletics. I did get to go to both. We had 2 baseball games. Our boys are knocking it out of the park. Monday, they played my airport Jets. It was a very, very good game. My Jets, however, kind of won. Not to bag over that, but it was a very good game. And then tonight, our Big Reds won over Huron. And my Jets actually texted me throughout the game saying what an incredible experience that was, because as one of my kids said, the Huron pitcher can throw a pitch up to 93 miles per hour, and were currently in first place, and our Big Reds beat them tonight. So incredibly great at accomplishing that, and I'm very, very proud of them as well. So kind of a neat thing I live and learn through the athletes. I just come and cheer with my pom-poms. Also, we had track league tonight, so that was really exciting, hence my being late. I appreciate everyone's patience. Really neat to see how we come together and host everybody and run the event. I was able to be over watching the throwing events mostly, and kind of coincides with the running, but it's a really neat group of kids, and the camaraderie and the sportsmanship and the representation is just really great. I was very, very proud to see us host and all of the kids that we had. I also want to congratulate our Milan FFA program. Mr. Feder is incredible at sharing different things on Facebook. I really enjoy being able to share those. The greenhouse has had phenomenal sales. They have great activities on there. It's just an excellent program, and I'm very, very glad that we are able to continue that. I'd also like to thank the board for the opportunity to present our scholarships and things tomorrow night at our honors night for the class of 2023. It is something incredibly near and dear to me, and I really do appreciate you all giving me that opportunity. I also was able to be at a breakfast that we've done this year. Brian, I get it wrong. Greater Monroe Foundation? Yep. Okay, I'm used to the GMACF. So this year we were able to honor our seniors at 2 different awards. So we'll have one tomorrow night, which will be fantastic and is our traditional, but we were also able to attend, our students were able to attend a breakfast in Monroe, which it just was another area in which we can celebrate them and award them with things. So it was very, very poignant, and I really appreciate the board's support of me being able to hand those awards out, because it's one of the things I hold very, very near and dear to me. So I thank you all for that opportunity. I also want to put a little highlight on our adult ed graduation. That'll be on Thursday. That's a great program we have, and it's also incredibly fun to participate in that graduation as well. County puts on a great program, and it's one of the best jobs, I believe, that we have being on the board, is being able to be there and have everyone be so thankful for the education they receive. So again, overall message of just being incredibly proud of our Big Red family. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Frey.
Mr. Sislo.
Yes, Mr. Farrow.
I just want to echo what other board members said. There's just so much to be proud of, so much to celebrate. We've got great students, we've got great teachers, we've got great administrators, we've got involved parents. So I just want to, again, echo what the balance of the board has already said. I attended band performances, track meets, soccer games, just outstanding kids in this community and athletes. I also wanted to just quickly congratulate all of our high school seniors and young adults that will be graduating. Be very proud of your respective accomplishments, and I wish you all the very best in your current and future endeavors. And that's, oh, the other thing I wanted to mention with regard to future board meeting dates, if it's possible to stick to Wednesdays in July, August, and September, that would work good for me in terms of my work schedule. But just wanted to throw that out there. But thank you.
Yeah, we will be voting on that at our organizational meeting in June. So,
Thank you.
yep.
Mr. Sislo?
Yes, Ms. Gutierrez.
I'd like to thank both the community member who raised the issue of ChatGPT and AI, and Mr. McMahon as well for raising it from a district perspective. This is something we are worrying about all the way up the chain of education and academia. It's coming up at the university level, it's coming up in scientific journals, it's coming up in all aspects. And I'm of the generation where my educators were panicking about this thing called the internet and how it was ever going to allow for independent and critical thinking in spite of it. And I think we can see that through very careful consideration over the last many decades, the internet has been used as an incredible tool for expanding knowledge, expanding access, and fostering perhaps deeper critical thinking. And so I know it's scary and I'm terrified of it as an instructor myself, but it is something that I think we all embrace, knowing that this is the new thing, and we've got to jump in, because frankly my 9-year-old knows how to use it already, and it's just amazing to me. On happier notes, perhaps less scary notes, I want to just highlight a couple things in the past several weeks. There's been so many examples of community within the district, and at the end of the year here, I'm constantly reminded how proud I am to be a member of Milan area schools. Mr. Gearbaugh mentioned the Flapjacks with Families event at Simons Elementary. That was co-hosted by Simons, by the Simons PTO, which I'm a member of, in the Milan Rotary. And it was the first time we've been able to have that event in several years. In fact, we had to reach out to Mrs. Farrow for guidance of how to do this because no one on the board had that experience because we've had to have an absence of these types of events in the several years. So we had great attendance. In fact, someone had to run out and get extra pancake mix in the middle of it because we had so many people. And I'm just really grateful to see how many Simon staff rolled up their sleeves and served pancakes and fruit and juice and sausages. Many thanks to the Milan Rotary, including Mr. Gearbaugh and Mr. McMahon, who were both there helping man the griddle. And then also mentioned was the Milan Area Schools annual band concert. I'm the mom of a 6th grade trumpet player, and I am just so impressed with the talent within our district of these students. It is some sort of miracle to me how I rented a trumpet for my son in October, and all of a sudden he was playing Star Wars on stage with all of his classmates. It's just kudos to Mrs. Upton and to all of the educators who work this magic within our district every single day. And then finally, I'd like to congratulate a special student at Simons Elementary that I was made aware of, Annabelle Pyatt. She's a 4th grader, and she was one of only 50 winners in the state of Michigan for the Mimic Masters Art and Video Contest. She drew a picture showing an example of kindness between 2 students, and because of her award, Simons will receive $500. Her artwork will be featured on Mimic's website, and she's going to get a little bit of swag from them as well. But I really appreciate the staff at Simons who encourage students to participate in things like this, who did the legwork to submit her illustration, and to help our students with their creativity and their growth all year long. So congratulations to Annabelle, and thank you to our staff across the district.
Thank you, Ms. Gutierrez.
Mr. Sislo?
Yes.
Over here. The little one in the corner.
Gotcha. Ms. Powell.
About the whole technology AI conversation, I just wanted to share my personal opinion on it. I do think that having the technology as a tool is very helpful, and it does go a long way. But as someone, like speaking for a lot of students, myself included, it is easier for a lot of us to do things more hands-on instead of sitting in front of a computer screen or using technology. Like, I prefer to use pen and paper, or, you know, if we're doing an art project, I would prefer to not draw it out on an internet and just use my hands, because it's easier for me to understand that. So I think that while there are certain, like if we're trying to take notes or something, there are moments where I wish I was just typing it out instead, but just having the ability to choose from either, if it just based on your learning, how you prefer to learn and how you understand it better would, so.
Great. Yeah, thank you, Ms. Powell.
Mr. Sislo?
Yes.
I forgot one thing. Our next Big Red Chat is June 20th. I
Okay.
believe it's at Simons, but we've not yet set a time or designated which board members will be participating. So we need to do that. I think our last chat was at 6:30. Does that sound correct?
Yeah, it was at 6:30.
June 20th.
I can attend if needed.
I can also attend.
I can too.
Okay. Well, it sounds like we have plenty of people that can attend.
Do we want to keep it at 6:30?
Works for me.
That works.
Works for me.
Okay. Just
All right.
that way Mr. Gearbaugh can get ready to send that out to folks.
So what are we gonna, Ms. Gutierrez, Mr. Farrow, Mrs. Heika? Is that,
Sure.
all right, for June 20th? Heika,
Yes.
yep. For June 20th at Simons in the, yeah, we maybe possibly the auditorium, maybe, I don't. Yeah.
And then I wonder too if there's a way to push this out to a wider community than just the individuals who would get it on the Honeywell, because we are looking for broader community input.
The topic is going to be, I didn't know if you were talking that one or the one after that, because just wanted to check, 'cause I thought you had kind of said June 20th would be.
We were thinking about budget, but I think.
The budget.
I mean, we can switch it, it doesn't matter to me. I didn't know if you were talking the one after
I
that
thought we were
should
going to
be
use it,
this.
for some reason I assumed, I forgot we were going to talk about the budget.
I mean, I think.
That's fine.
But, I mean, I think,
If we're going to do this, I think we should make sure that the committee could be there, because
Yeah.
they would do some of the presenting.
yeah.
Yep, that
We
makes
have one
sense.
more meeting in between then, so we'll keep it at June 20th, and then we'll determine the topic. I mean, potentially, we could do a little bit of update on both, I mean, we could do a quick update on budget information, especially if Tom can attend, and then work our way into this as well, so.
Perfect. Is it my turn now?
Yes, Ms. Heike.
So I do want to congratulate the robotics teams and all their incredible accomplishments up and down the line. And I also want to thank all of the parent volunteers. It was incredible to me, not only how many staff members were involved, but how many parent volunteers were up here. Not only from the high school, because I think we've got a long history of parental involvement on the high school robotics team, but there were several elementary school parents here as well. And so I want to thank all of them. I know it's a lot of time that gets invested into those programs, and we certainly couldn't do it without all of them. And they are great examples of all the great things that are happening here in the community. I want to thank Yvette Cashmere and all of her great staff people who help her out. There was a community event here this weekend that ran, it started Wednesday, I think they had Thursday off, and then it ran Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I was here all day. Yvette and her entire team were here the entire time. The event ran super smooth. Everything was wonderful. The lighting, the sound, everything was fabulous. And so I want to thank them because they're a big part. It was a dance recital for Dance Explosion here in town, so there are a lot of Milan students that are involved, but there are also a lot of students that come from Dundee and Saline and other communities, and then their families come to that event too. So this auditorium was full for 4 shows. And so because of the incredible talent on stage, but also because of the incredible job that Yvette does, and the custodial staff that is here taking care of the building all day, it's a great way to showcase the facilities that we have here and the capabilities that we have here to a very broad group of people. So thank you to all of you up in the booth who made all of that very possible this weekend. I also want to congratulate all of our upcoming graduates, not only seniors here at the high school, one of which is mine, but I also want to congratulate our Y-High students, our ECA students, our adult ed students. I mean, there are a lot of incredible people who are going to celebrate in the coming weeks, and I think some may have already. Just an incredible accomplishment, and I'm just very proud of all of you. I'm proud of all the grown-ups in your life that may have, pushed you along the way to get you there, because it may very well be some of their accomplishment as well. But it is an accomplishment that's going to change the course of your life moving forward, and so I'm just very proud of all of you for the work that you've put in to get to that point. I want to wish all of the athletes who are coming up on postseason play good luck. It's going to be a really crazy couple of weeks around here between the baseball team, the softball team, the soccer team. There is a lot going on, so good luck to all of them. And this track team is sending everyone to the state meet. I don't want to forget them as well. So at the last meeting, a community member expressed some concern about some GSA students who read books at Simon's. So I looked into the matter, and it turns out it was one book. It's this lovely book right here called Mr. Watson's Chickens. And so if my fellow board members will indulge me, and if the community will too, I'd like to read this book. It's very short, it's very sweet, but I think it's important that we all know what we're talking about here, about the book that was read, since there was such concern about it. So it starts off with, Mr. Watson lived with Mr. Nelson in a big honking house with teeny tiny yard in a big honking city. And in that teeny tiny yard, he kept 2 dogs, 3 cats, and a handful of chickens. Mr. Watson loved his chickens, and his chickens loved him. He started like any sensible person with 3.
Every morning, he and Mr. Nelson would count them. 1, 2, 3. But soon, Mr. Watson's chicken collection grew and grew and grew. Before they knew it, Mr. Watson had 456 chickens. Their house was teeming with birds. Chickens in the sink, chickens in the bed, chickens in the bread box, chickens on their heads. There were even chickens in the bathtub. And the noise, the house shook with it. Aunt Agnes made up her own song. Shooby-doo, wonky-pow, balky-balk, into chow-chow. And she sang it all the time. Still, Mr. Nelson loved to cook eggs for Mr. Watson, so he was happy with this arrangement, until he found 4 chickens in his brand new boots. Mr. Watson, these chickens are becoming a problem, cried Mr. Nelson. You're right, Mr. Watson said, and he sat down to think about what to do. Oh, the peaches are sticking. The next day, Mr. Nelson found feathers in his hair gel. Mr. Watson, cried Mr. Nelson, these chickens are a problem. You're right, Mr. Watson said, and he sat down to think about what to do. Late that night, Aunt Agnes led the other chickens in a full choral rendition of her favorite song, Shooby-doo, wonky-pow, balky-balk, into chow-chow. It was too much. Mr. Watson, Mr. Nelson cried, these chickens are more than a problem. If you don't get rid of them, I'm moving to the coop out back, alone. Mr. Watson loved his chickens, but he loved Mr. Nelson more. Without Mr. Nelson, his heart would be a broken egg. So the next day, the 2 men gathered up the chickens in cages, boxes, and crates. They loaded them onto the wagons, all tied together in a line, and set off for the country fair to find the chickens a loving home. But just as he reached their destination, Mr. Watson tripped, and all the chickens were gone. No, Mr. Watson wailed, how will we ever find them all? Now the whole city would be littered with chickens. Sure enough, whose chickens are these? The pickle slinger cried. 10 chickens bobbed in her tubs. That'll be me, said Mr. Watson, with a 1, 2, 3 as he moseyed over to collect up his chickens. Whose chickens are these? The cheesemonger cried. 20 chickens were feathers deep in their cheese. That'll be me, said Mr. Watson with a 1, 2, 3 as he sidled over to collect up his chickens. Whose chickens are these? The nut hawker howled. 30 chickens waited in his bins. That'll be me, whispered Mr. Watson with a 1, 2, 3 as he skulked over to collect up his chickens. At long last, Mr. Watson and Mr. Nelson collected every single chicken, all except one. Where was the final chicken? Shooby-doo, wonky-pow, balky-balk, into chow-chow. The other chickens had joined Aunt Agnes. Shooby-doo, wonky-pow, balky-balk, into chow-chow. The crowd went wild. They'd never heard such a beautiful song. Just then, an official-looking lady bellowed, "Quiet! Those chickens still up for adoption, bub?" she asked. "I'll take them all." All, gasped Mr. Watson. All. I've been looking for a new act for the fair. A big honking chicken choir is just what I need. Done, cried Mr. Watson. That night, Mr. Watson and Mr. Nelson ate supper, and there were no chickens in their soup. They brushed their teeth, and there were no chickens in the sink. They got ready for bed, and there were no chickens in their pajamas. But Mr. Watson felt sad without his chickens, and Mr. Nelson did too. Now their house was an empty nest. Or was it? Crack, crack, crack. Shooby-doo, wonky-pow, balky-balk, into chow-chow. It begins again. 1, 2, 3. That's the book that sparked such outrage at our last meeting. Just so the community knows, this was the only book that was read that day. And I think it's a lovely book. I've read many books that have been read out loud here today, and many of them have incredible stories. This was an incredible story. And this book and the faux outrage that was expressed demonstrates that it's not about the books. It's not about any graphic nature of any of the books. It's about the stories that are being told. And this was a great story that should be told, and many of the other books that have been brought up are great stories that should be told. And this idea that this book and the GSA, let's not forget, it was the GSA that read this book. The idea that the GSA reading this book to a group of students is somehow promoting radical gender theory is just absurd. Because what I think is a radical gender theory is that a man can only love a woman and that a woman can only love a man. That's radical to me. We all love who we love. So there's the book, in case anyone was wondering what the terrible book was that was read to all of the students. I also, Mr. Gearball had a question about the tax issue that was raised earlier tonight. Because I want to make sure that I'm correct in my thinking, is that there are also very limited situations, even if we wanted to raise the millage, there are very limited situations in which that can happen, right? It's not like when we were kids where you could have a millage because you wanted to hire more teachers. You can't do that anymore, right?
Correct. We could only increase taxes with a vote of the people or a mandate from the state of Michigan. It's
Perfect.
not a Board of Education decision.
Perfect, thank you very much. That's all I have.
And perhaps the other thing that to be understood is that with interest rates being so high, the property taxes were allowed to go to 1.0, but be rose 5% without, absent of the school.
Correct.
I mean, just so, I mean, and that has nothing to do with the school. I mean, that's just,
Nope.
that's the state taxing authority that allows you, the assessor, to assess you up to 5% if inflation is higher than 5%. So, I mean, I think that's important for people to understand too. If people got their assessment on their houses, they know that you're going to be taxed at a higher rate just because of what the interest rate is.
Correct. The mills that we collect were not increased. If your taxable value goes up, then you pay those same number of mills on a higher value, and that would increase your taxes. But that's nothing that the school district decided. That's something that's determined outside of our realm.
Correct.
So I guess I could just say ditto. A lot of great comments and a lot of great things going on. I do want to echo the work of the FFA and the greenhouse. Continue to visit them, and hopefully they get sold out of all their stuff. I do appreciate the work of Mr. Hoskins and his committee. It was a well put together and thought out presentation. And I think one of those opportunities that we can show that connection between school and community is obviously a happy Memorial Day to everyone and to those that gave their greatest sacrifice and their families for our country so that we can be here and have First Amendment rights and all the rights that we're afforded. And the City of Milan puts on a great parade and a service that our students participate in. And I encourage everyone to participate and go downtown and be a part of that and honor the veterans and those that sacrificed for Milan and the greater country. Because that is one of the things that I see as our community, you know, that tagline of rooted in tradition and growing in excellence is something really that brings this community together. And I think Monday is a great example of how we can all participate in that in our community. So again, thank you for those that attended and are watching online. I hope everyone has a safe holiday. Thank you to all the staff that continue to do the great work of the Big Reds. With that, is there any other business before the board? The meeting is adjourned at 10:07.